Hi, I'm sci-fi and fantasy author Michael LaVoice, aka LaVoice in your head, and kicking off a request session of videos based on works, quotes, or other things people want to hear. This one, oddly enough, came from a friend of mine, another author who really enjoyed my first series, Galaxy's Most Wanted, and he really appreciated the interplay between two characters in particular, that of our main character, Kai Fletcher, and his spacefaring mentor, Landon, who was a good old boy from Mississippi who somehow ended up in space and shows Kai the ropes. And that's what this scene is about. So now enjoy a reading from Galaxy's Most Wanted Book 1, featuring Kai and Landon. Landon left the unit on the work table and led me to the elevator. The captain doesn't like it when we keep celebratory libations in our workspaces or quarters, but he lets us blow off steam in a central spot. Nice guy, the captain. The doors closed as we ascended. Oh, he's a peach, Landon agreed, with as little sincerity as I had used. When he's not flaying people alive. Landon winced. Who got the lash this time? Some lizard guy named Thranik? I answered, an involuntary shudder running through me at the memory. Damn, he's an officer and a fellow Lausoran. Lausoran? I said, trying the word out. Lizard guys. Like the captain. There's a whole mess of alien races out here. Some are friendly, some ain't. Some take to crime like a duck to water. Most just want to live and let live. And the Lausorans are ducks? Warm-blooded reptilians, if you want to get all technical, Landon replied, shooting me a grin. Yeah, Lausorans like crime. Started forming interstellar syndicates almost as soon as they achieved starflight. They're like the space mafia? Something like that. There's not a lot of actual law out here like we have on Earth. A lot of stuff just ain't covered, and there's no central government to try and stop them. So, technically not criminals. Space was complicated. It seemed to me that there were a lot of gray areas. Landon smiled and shook his head. It kind of depends on what system you're in. There are some general things that all the most powerful spacefaring races agree upon, like slavery and genocide. You know, the big uns. The doors opened directly into a bar that covered most of the deck, and I was assaulted with a host of new smells. The scents of different species, a haze of alien tobacco smoke and alcohol. It radiated through the air. The alien music, a cross between thrash metal and East Indian meditation chants, blasted through me. It was a far cry from the pseudo-jazz of the Star Wars cantina scene, and not at all what I'd expected. I think I preferred the pseudo-jazz. Welcome to the hellhole, Landon shouted proudly over the cacophony of the alien party place. These guys have a concept of hell? You'd be surprised how universal hell actually is, Landon said with a laugh. He led me to a table on the edge of the room. Heaven, not so much, but everybody knows about hell. The chairs were big for us. I guessed they were designed to fit a variety of species. The table was some sort of resin covered in the scars, nicks, and burn marks from years of service. Server bots trundled from table to table, bearing trays loaded with drinks and food, then vanished into a service door next to the longest bar I've ever seen. I guess like hell, bars are universal too. The bartender was another insectoid. What had Landon called them? Ranikna? That sounded right in my head. Beer? Or you need the hard stuff? Landon signaled a server over to us. Hard stuff. It might be a mistake. But there was a lot going on that I hadn't been able to process yet. A good stiff drink might kickstart that. Landon gave me a look like he wanted me to be sure about my order. I nodded back. With a shrug, he turned to the server bot and gave our order as the music shifted into an off key electronic dance tune with a heavy, bass driven beat. A few of the aliens, like ones I'd seen in the control center, broke out and danced to it. "What are those guys called?" I asked Landon, pointing at the mostly human looking, finely furred dancers. Their fur shifted colors in time to the beat: purple, orange, red, and blended shades of all three that I'd never seen before. It was mesmerizing. "Dorans," Landon replied, taking in the scene. "They're one of the big dogs. Well, not these guys, but the Doranian Union is one of the larger, more organized governments with lots of systems in their club." The server bot arrived with our drinks, and Landon placed a plastic cup of a black liquid in front of me, while taking a pint-sized mug of what looked like regular beer for himself. I gave my drink an experimental sniff. It had a dark, spicy aroma that reminded me of beaches that I'd never been to. I gave Landon a quizzical look. "Some kind of spiced rum?" "Close." He sipped his beer. "It's an Untlavian whiskey. Those thieving weasels have the stickiest fingers in space, but they make a damn fine whiskey. Go easy, though. It packs a punch." I took a sip. The spices I'd smelled exploded into my mouth. Sweet and hot all at once, it left a flush of heat at the back of my throat as I swallowed and burned its way down into my stomach. Warmth spread through my guts. I was instantly relaxed. "Wow!" I looked from the cup to Landon in pleasant amazement. "Told you, damn fine whiskey. But they're thieves. Umlavians never achieved spaceflight on their own. The Lausorans discovered them. They stowed away on their ships, becoming indentured servants at first." "I can relate," I said, taking another sip. The warmth spread from my belly to my chest. "That's a story I want to hear." Landon drained his mug and signaled the bot for a refill. "Later," I replied. "Still processing." Landon gave me a nod. "Over time, Umlavians kind of worked their way into being the henchmen of the Lausoran syndicates. You don't find one without the other much these days." The warmth of the whiskey moved into my face. I wasn't drunk, but I was definitely buzzed. I took a third hit anyway. "I told you to take it easy," Landon warned. I set the drink down and pushed it a few inches away. I am. "Who are the other big dogs?" Landon accepted his refill from the server. "Well, the biggest dog on the porch is the Vakness." "Which ones are they?" I asked, looking around, hoping to spot one. "They ain't what you'd call social. Probably won't see 'em here much. They're big, hairy, mean, like a cross between a bear and a gorilla." "That's them," Landon confirmed with a nod. "They got a bigger government and more systems under their control than the Doranians. A bigger military, too, and an almost religious compulsion to conquer, like it's their destiny or something." "Who's stopping them?" "You!" An angry Untlavian staggered to us and slammed a mostly empty bottle onto the table. "Hey, Graz," Landon drawled. "How's it hanging?" "Wasn't talking to you, Landon." Graz reached across the table and grabbed a fistful of my jumpsuit. "You never came back to clean up that mess." Oh, shit. Now I recognized him. Why wasn't he sleeping it off somewhere? That had to be his second bottle of the night. Piss off. I'm not on duty right now. I shoved his hand away from me. Maybe it was the whiskey that influenced my actions, but somewhere in the back of my head, my rational self screamed that what I'd just done wasn't smart. Graz grew more furious. You indentured swastika! There was that untranslatable word again. You obey orders from your betters, and you do it when they're given. I'd had a long day with a lot of crazy in it. Deep down, I was still wide-eyed amazed, but here and now, the South Side kid in me rose up. I stood, grabbed Graz by the front of his jumpsuit, and yanked him close to me. When someone better than me gives an order, maybe I'll follow it. But you don't qualify. Now get out of my face while you still have one. Come on, y'all, Landon said, shoving a chair with his foot that hit Graz in the back of the legs. He sat out of reflex, and I let go of his jumpsuit. Ain't no reason to go flying off the handle. Graz stood, too mad to speak. He reached for his bottle, handling it like a club. Before he could swing it, Landon was between us, his pistol pressed into Graz's midsection. Back off the new kid, Graz. Landon jabbed the muzzle of his gun further in to emphasize his point. He don't know how all this works yet. Now let me buy you a drink. As drunk as he was, Graz still recognized the threat when he saw it. He changed his grip on the bottle and took a hefty slug from it. I got a drink. I sat and took a sip of my own. The adrenaline rush of the almost fight took some of the buzz away, and I wanted it back. This isn't over, Graz snarled at me, then listed off across the room to the elevator. Any time, asshole, I called out. Southsiders like to get the last word in. It's kind of built into us. Graz turned and retorted with a snarling growl. Landon gripped my upper arm tight. The message was clear. I relaxed in my chair and kept my mouth shut. The elevator doors opened, allowing Graz to exit the bar. Y'all need some distance. He's madder than a wet hen right now. Graz ain't somebody you want for an enemy. I went to take another sip of that awesome whiskey, but the cup was empty, which confused me. I'd only had a few sips. Landon saw me staring into it. Come on, cowboy, he said, standing and pulling me to my feet. I think it's time to find you a bunk. Again, that was a reading from Galaxy's Most Wanted, Book 1, as a special request to my pal, the Ray Gun. He knows who he is.